Seymour here worry you? He only looks like a lowlife.
I'm practicing deception.
He's undercover.
Vice Squad, NYPD.
Had you fooled, didn't he?
Bet you thought I was an actual person.
Seymour here specializes in convenience surveillance.
Toilet patrol.
He's stationed behind the air vent in a little boys' room at the Sheridan Square IRT subway station.
Uptown side, second urinal to the left.
You owe it to yourself to go watch him work. He truly is an inspiration.
Sure, feel free.
Oh, who can concentrate on not touring gang with one sister's desire to spread? I'm a ruined woman! To me, you'll always be a queen. In exile.
I said to my psychiatrist I hate myself. And what have you said? Oh, he said that I have every reason to hate myself. That's a breakthrough. Oh, you have no idea how good I feel about how bad I feel.
Are you sure the shrink knows what he's doing?
The man has a 78% cure rate.
Have you actually met any of his
Successes? He won't allow me to meet them, not until I have myself under psychosexual self-restraint.
He's afraid that they carry you.
They might relapse.
You're sick.
What do you think I've been trying to tell you?
Having fun, ladies?
Depends on what you have in mind.
Vice Squad, NYPD.
I'm not up to a squat tonight.
Let me see your identification.
I must have left it in my other purse. Come on, see.
You know, I could run you both in for impersonating women.
You know women that look like this?
Make up your mind. Are you in or out? I'm trying to find out where they keep the sissy.
First you present yourself as trade, then you're straight. Now suddenly the pins start to fly and look who's competition. You're beginning to exhaust me.
Work yourself.
What is it you want?
I'm looking for a faggot.
Where did you lose him?
I did!
He isn't good enough for you.
Who is it?
None of them. Look at yourself. Wandering the streets searching for him.
You ain't got nothing left to lose.
Out of the closets.
You're not proving anything.
Into the streets!
No!
Out of the closet!
No way!
In the streets!
Never!
Out of the closet!
These faggots are revolting!
You bet your sweet ass we are!
Welcome to Conversations with William M. Hoffman. Our guest today for the second of a two-part chat is the celebrated playwright and play producer and my old friend Doric Wilson. Conversations is Lehman College's series of discussions with major theater and musical figures of our time. Welcome back to Conversations, Doric.
Thank you.
What we watched was
Street theater, and at the end of our last conversation was talking about not finding out where I needed to be as a playwright, getting involved in bars and suddenly realizing that I like doing plays where plays do not normally exist. And there's a good case in point. That was filmed at the New York Eagle. The sidewalk was run as a runway through the audience. It's about this hours leading up to the Stonewall riots. And from that point on, all my plays were easily written. I no longer had the problem of, I just stopped thinking about Pacini marches.
right. It was done originally at the Eagle's Nest.
No,
that was the West Street Gang.
West Street Gang was at the Spike.
At the Spike,
And
a leather bar.
Yes, and the Street Theater, the main production of Street Theater was down in the bowels, so to speak, of the mine shaft.
Oh my God! So
half the
a
audience,
sex club.
Yes, half the audience came to see the play, and the other half came to see the club. You weren't allowed in.
So this is where your playwriting evolved to at the after the '60s and the Cafficino. In the late '70s and early '80s, you came to write a number of absolutely terrific, important plays on gay themes. The West Street Gang, A Perfect Relationship, Forever After, Street Theater.
Now She Dances.
Now She Dances, and
the one in the works is called The Boy Next Door.
so this is the one you're working on.
Working on now, yes.
Can you tell us where that's going? Do you want to share that?
I can tell you where it started. Years ago, in fact, at the Spike, they did Robert Patrick's play T-shirts.
Right, it's in my anthology.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
the porn star Jack Wrangler
Right.
having his porn career kind of beginning to disappear, decided to turn into a legitimate actor and do this play of Robert's. And that's the germ for the beginning of The Boy Next Door, an aging porn star looking to go legit, with a playwright that's kind of a combination of Robert and myself.
That's funny. Robert Patrick was, I know Robert very well because I starred in,
Yes, you were-
co-starred
you
in
were-
an early play of his,
Haunted Host.
A Haunted Host,
you were born.
in my brief acting career. Thank God, brief.
He was actually very good. You were good.
Well, I don't remember that, but that's a whole other story. The production we just saw of Street Theater, where was it?
That was The Eagle.
That was at the Eagle.
The Eagle in
Who
New York.
directed it?
That was a Tasos production, and the artistic director of Tasos, Mark Finley, directed it. All the years that Lanford and Marshall Mason had their relationship as director-playwright, I was terribly jealous because directors didn't quite know what to do with my kind of comedy. And I unfortunately came very late in my career to my director. If I had met Mark 40 years ago, I'd have a lot more plays.
Now, he's done a whole lot
He's done almost everything. He'll be doing, there's a revival of Forever After coming up somewhere in the next 6 months, and then he'll only have, he did a reading of West Street Gang, and he's done a reading of Now She Dances, so he will have done everything, yeah.
What prompted you to write these four important plays?
Each one different things. Street theater, I was in a bar one night, one afternoon, the Spike, and this kid that I knew came in all bloodied from having been fag bashed. Oh, this is West Street Gang, sorry. And he had, on the way to the bar, some kids had beat him up, and he had tried to get into the Eagle, and they were having a benefit for a gay organization. They wouldn't let him in the door to call the police unless he made the contribution to the benefit. And that's exactly how West Street Gang started. I mean, the play just wrote itself from that point on. Street theater, I was walking along Christopher Street about 10 years after Stonewall, and in the early politics of gay lib, there was, with gay lib, there will no longer be queens, and people will, the whole society was going to change. And and of course I was rather doubted this, but who cared? I'm walking along and I heard, hello, hiya, boom, boom, hi, Seal, don't ask. And I went, oh, yeah, sure, a lot changed. And there's the play right there, the beginning of, the hours. Street theater is the hours on Christopher Street leading up to the riot.
I was there a few hours after it began. My partner and I were on Prince Street, and we heard tell of the riot going on. You were there at the riot.
I was there, well, kind of as it started. I was walking along, I was heading to, I used to be part of the leather scene. And there was a bar down on the waterfront, and I was on my way down there. And as we were walking by, it hadn't really started, but there was a ruckus at the door, and unfortunately my play fools around with history. Drag queens did not wear full drag on the sidewalk in those days. They would have gone immediately to jail. They wore feminine versions of male clothing. They couldn't wear wigs. And as I walked by, this one drag queen said to me, "You're so butch, why aren't you here joining us?" The guy I was with kept going, and I stayed back. And first night I was more Christopher Isherwood. I am a camera. I watched it mostly the first night.
Right.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth nights I got involved. But it was very strange. Over the years I've been asked, I've never been able to quite explain what happened that night, what I went through, or what I actually felt, or what I felt in the crowd. And people say, well, they were angry. And I guess there was anger, but it wasn't angry, didn't count. And finally this year, because this being the 40th anniversary, I was being interviewed, and it suddenly dawned on me, there was this first absolute awe that we were fighting back. There's a kind of sense of, oh my God, what are we doing? And then there was this wonderful wave of joy.
It was very
Oh
exciting.
my God, what are we doing with joy?
It was very exciting.
It was
I
very
remember.
exciting. It remained, it didn't really become a movement until about a year later. With the first, I think the first march is when it became a.
There was a lot of talk about it. Now, we're talking about a revolt that started because of an argument with the cops in a gay bar called the Stonewall.
Stonewall that was being raided.
On Sheridan Square.
Oddly enough, it was being raided for reasons that had nothing to do with the fact that it was the gay clientele. The people who ran the bar also had a side venture of stealing and selling bearer bonds from the Wall Street.
Ah,
And that's finally come out in the last couple of years. And that's why they were raiding. They were trying to get Ed Murphy, who was in the gangster that was behind all of that.
ah.
And,
And we thought it was gay
well, the thing
person.
is, since they came in on, they used the raid to cover what they were doing. So they acted like they were raiding a gay bar. There were things upstairs which a lot of us did not know about, and that's what they were really after. And,
Oh, that's amazing.
mind you, had been. It's why it caused such a problem, because it wasn't the precinct. And here they were. All the police got trapped in the Stonewall. The crowd, very angry, were on the outside. They started throwing pennies and nickels. The NAP Commission had just. Wasn't NAP Commission? Yes.
I don't know.
Serpico and the police corruption. And the Times the week before had published what the bars, they found a list of what the bars actually paid off to the cops. And so they were, so we started throwing pennies. Who take the payoffs? You take the payoffs. All right.
So the cops were locked
Locked inside.
in the Stonewall.
Then somebody decided that they would upend the VW to get the gasoline and throw they started throwing matches. Then realized the matches wouldn't light, but maybe if we got some gasoline they would. The cops are locked inside. They're getting very nervous. They keep calling for reinforcements or to break to get them out of there, because there's no back way out of the bar. There's no back door.
No exit. Yeah.
No exit. And the precinct, which does get paid off, is mad as shit this is going on. This is ruining their cash cow.
Right.
So every time he would call and ask for backup, a voice would come on. Nobody to this day knows who it was. Disregard previous call. Disregard previous call. So finally he got the smart idea, the guy in charge, Inspector Pine, I think his name was, he called the fire department. So in the middle of all of this, with people throwing matches and people screaming, who takes the payoff, you take the payoff, suddenly there's 4 or 5 fire trucks pull up. And that's how it ended the first night. But
What after Tasos 1 kind of faded out?
no, I was supporting it by being a bartender, and my age made my career as a sex object behind a bar. The days were so numbered that I closed it because I couldn't afford to fund it anymore by bartending. It was that simple. Plus, there were other venues by then.
Right.
The Glines was here, and there were plays were being done.
Then you restarted Tasos.
Yes.
And called it Tasos 2?
We started at Tasos 2. We finally dropped the 2. So
And so it's continuous.
It's Tasos, the other side of silence.
Right. You started producing many people's plays.
Well, we always did. Tasos didn't produce me at first at all.
Right.
The fact that they did a play of mine was a pure accident. The play we were going to do, we couldn't get the rights to do. And the only script we could bring in fast was one of mine.
I thought it would be fun to see a play of the legendary Robert Patrick's that you did.
Yes, well, the new version of Tasos, Robert had an unproduced play, and it's an absolutely gorgeous play. It may be one of his top 4 or 5 plays. It's called Hollywood at Sunset, and it's, again, written about, as Robert always does, it's 2 real people. The characters in this play that you're going to see, one of them was the main writer of one of those vampire series back about 10 years ago.
Ah.
I don't know which one.
I'm sure we're going to hear about it. Let's roll it, Jerry.
Hollywood at Sunset. What an address.
Hollywood at Sunset is not an address. It's an era.
Our era. In the high noon of Hollywood, you would have been famous by now.
Talking like that is the quickest way into my pants.
With your wit and style, you could have been like Ernst Lubitsch or Preston Sturgeon.
Oh, what a director. Let's watch The Lady Eve when Henry Fonda says, "Snakes are my life," and Barbara Stanwyck replies, "What a life. What a movie. Let's watch it. Do you want to watch it?" You don't want to watch it. We'll watch what you want to watch. What do you want to watch?
What a life. What would you do if you caught me sleeping with another man?
I'd shoot myself.
What would you do if you caught me talking to your mother?
I'd shoot yourself. Why would you want to talk to my mother? Why would you even ask such a thing?
Do you think they don't know about us? After 8 years,
You're capable of infinite denial.
you're capable of infinite denial.
It's genetic. You'd make them uncomfortable. They'd think you were Jewish. They don't know Aaron is Elvis Presley's middle name, believe me.
They're your family. I'm your family.
They're not my family, you're my family.
You know my family.
I've forgiven you for that.
You see people all the time.
I see agents and producers. They're hooved. They're ungulates.
You go on location with them. You go to dinners at their home.
Writers don't take their wives to work with them.
They take them to dinner.
Oh boy. Hi, Mrs. Gerblstein, thank you for demanding me. Your husband says great things about your taste, but I see he doesn't half do you justice. Do accept this quart jar of Elizabeth Taylor's Passion. I hear you drink anything. By the way, the smoldering jock with the Elvis attitude is my male lover, Aaron. I hope it's not boy-girl seating.
You told me most of the writers are gay.
Yes, but they're all married.
We're married.
Nowhere on this planet, where, by the way, I make our living.
Do you think we're fooling anyone?
No one is fooling anyone. Most of the writers are gay. Most of the directors are gay. Most of the actors. No, all of the actors are gay.
Well then, everybody must know it.
Everybody does know it, but you can't admit it.
Such a delightful play.
I love that play.
It's so smart.
He's so smart.
Yes.
When Robert nails a play, he nails it. It's there forever.
We'll get him on the show yet.
Yes.
We'll get him on the show. He is now living in Los Angeles,
Yes.
where I found you again.
Well, see, Robert and I try to stay a coast apart from each other. If I go west, he goes east. If he goes east, we discovered we shouldn't be on the same coast together.
In my brief career in Hollywood, you were kind enough to find me a place.
Yes, you lived right next door.
Yes. What were you doing in Los Angeles? This was a long period of your life.
No, it was 3 years.
That's a long time in Los Angeles.
When you're 500 years old, like you and I are, are you kidding?
What were you doing there?
I have no idea. I had left New York for family reasons, had gone back to the
All right.
Northwest. When those reasons were gone, I couldn't stay in the Northwest. I had no way to get back to New York. The only living that I had was bartending, and those days were over. And a friend had a job for me down in L.A., so I packed up my car with all my goodies and started to L.A. I had a friend that was going to give me a place to stay, and two friends that had jobs. And on my way to L.A., all three of them died.
Oh my
One
God.
was in a minor accident. One had a blood vessel burst and had his death disrupted. And one was up walking around in the Hollywood Hills and got bit. They had tiny little rattlesnakes up there. They're really kind of aggressive worms. And he got bit by one of the the Griffith Park rattlesnakes.
Right.
And the snake didn't kill him, but the antivenom did. The park ranger insisted he have the antivenom. And so I got there, no jobs, no apartment. I thought, oh God, I'm here the rest of my life with nothing.
What is Tasos now planning to produce?
Oh,
We just did a terrific
we
play.
had a very successful play with Meryl Cohen's and Sophie came too. We did in the Fringe Festival.
We saw
was a
that one.
huge
It was
hit.
great.
And it moved to the encore of the Fringe. And then a play that we developed first as a off-Broadway production and then part of the Fringe Festival 2 or 3 years ago by Chris Weichel called Penny Pennyworth was just moved off-Broadway for a limited run. In fact, finishes this week. I think the word is that it may be moving to a more permanent off-Broadway run, but we're not sure yet. And then what's coming up next is Elizabeth Whitney, who you saw in the lead in Sophie. It also does a wonderful one-woman shows or one-person shows. And she does one on Wonder Woman, which is in fact going to be done as part of EAT in the next couple of weeks. And then she's written one for us based on Anita Bryant called A Day Without Sunshine.
Right.
And we'll be doing that, and then the revival of Forever After is next on our list. And then a revival of Haunted Host. We thought you might come and do The Boy again.
I'd be happy to. I could do it with a walker. How do you come to choose the plays that you do for Tasos?
Well, we have a reading series, and a lot of our productions have come out of the reading series. It's named for Robert Chesley and Jane Chambers.
Right.
And we try to do male, female, male, female, male, female, sort of formal dinner party seating. And a good 4 or 5 of ours, more have come out of that. We don't really, since we don't have a space, we kind of whatever grabs Mark or mine attention, and we say, well, let's go with that. So we have a couple of things always sort of lurking. Part of it's expensive. I mean, my God, to do off-Broadway now. Off-Broadway now costs more to produce than off-Broadway did when we were.
Some people feel that since this is no longer a period where it will cost you your career to mention that you're gay, or
No.
What is the rationalization for having a gay theater movement?
Because, not so much a movement, but a space, there are very, very few plays that are gay make it to the general theater circuit, and they are usually very specific. Anytime anybody says to me, there's so much gay theater on Broadway, why do you need another, and I say, yes, last season had so many lesbian plays, didn't it? Name one.
Right, exactly.
Name play, there was a period where when I was just talking about this earlier to somebody, when I was in my teens, if you read a gay novel, the character died at the end. You had to, the author had to kill off the character. Well, with all due respect, the great number of gay plays in the 90s and were all AIDS plays where the character dies at the end.
Which was very convenient.
Yes, inadvertently we were right back where we had started for a whole different reason, but of which you wrote by far one of the best, if not the best.
Thank you. Where do you think gay theater is going now?
I don't know. First of all, I don't know. I've never liked the term gay theater. And I don't think we've ever done, quote unquote, a gay play. But what we do are plays written by, what are those 3 letters or 4 letters again?
GLB.
I cannot, my brain just refuses to.
GLBT.
Yes, refuses to accept that. Community. But the plays themselves are not necessarily, they're never about being gay. Or, in fact, we don't even do coming out plays in a weird way. There's so many of them and there's no need to see them. But there are so many voices out there in the community that have things that they want to say that are probably not going to be picked up by the general community any more than that's why you still have black theater, you still have Hispanic theater, you still need women's theaters.
Right.
Because there's a bulk of work out there that otherwise is ignored. It also interests me. I like to see these things. So.
Would you? Well, I've noticed in I teach a course in called Alternate Lifestyles in Drama, and in the course I have many students who are not gay or lesbian, and I offer my students for a final project they have a choice whether to study a gay or lesbian play, or to write their own. And a number of times, some of my straight students have decided to write their own gay play.
It's very interesting. Back in the early days of Tasos, Gay actors were terrible acting. First of all, they wouldn't do it. They were so petrified that if you had a pair of lovers, you could easily cast two straight actors. To them, it was just an acting problem. And the way you just knew the difference was first rehearsal. If you had two gay actors acting as lovers, they were off in the corner, their backs to each other with the scripts in front of their face, with the whole stage between them. The two straight actors doing gay lovers were up touching each other and exploring, because they were going to have to deal with it. What's interesting now, one of the most interesting plays I've seen in the last year, a play by called Slipping. I cannot think of the author's name, sorry. Straight author, brilliant play.
And you would do such a play?
We did it.
You did do it?
We did the production because we didn't have the money, but I wish to God we'd done the production. Of course.
Great.
We have gay, straight, I mean, nobody's, Penny Pennyworth is not particularly a gay play, although it does have gender things in it. It's not a gay, quote-unquote, gay play. Written by a gay playwright, but still,
What if you have any advice for my gay and lesbian playwrights? What would you suggest to them?
Well, create your own theater, because the one that the commercial one is going down faster than the Titanic. And also, you don't wait around for. You certainly do not go through play developments where 14 people sit in the room and tell you how to write your play. Do not do that.
Make your own theater.
Make your own theater, and don't show it to people until it's finished. Let the director and you decide what needs to be cut.
Right.
Don't listen to your mother, your lover, or the 14 people who are eagerly sitting there after the reading, with who each one knows exactly what will make your play perfect. Don't listen.
This has been an outstanding conversation with you, Doric Wilson. I want to thank you and our home and studio audiences for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon for further conversations. Thank you, Doric.
Thank you,
Christmas is the perfect time for suicide. You'll get even with the world as we watch your body hurled from the rooftop. It's a pity you only broke a couple of bones. You should have jumped from Radio City. Second all that's written underneath the mistletoe. As we sing a Christmas song, we'll shed a tear. Yes, Christmas is the perfect time for suicide. But why don't you postpone it till next year? You need some practice. Don't do a thing you may regret. It's egregious. Don't slat your throat or your wrists just yet. Hold on.